in honor of Memorial Day, which is coming up here in a couple days. It's Memorial Day weekend. Good day. This is Dale, and you are listening to From a Particular Point of View. I see you again, figuratively speaking, of course. For more information, or to give me more, anyway, to contact me for whatever reason, watercoolercomments at gmail.com or watercoolercomments@hotmail.com. But I want to get this out of the way immediately. With the this is Memorial Day weekend. To unfortunately too many people, this is a weekend where you go and have a barbecue and drink some refreshments, not knowing or not necessarily depending on what's in them, whether it's alcoholic or not, but spend time with family and or go start your vacation or whatever. And unfortunately, too many people don't look at it for what it was intended. And unfortunately, too many people also mix up Memorial Day with Armistice Day with Veterans Day. And there are three distinct differences between these. Memorial Day, of course, is for the people who we have lost in battle. These are the people who never made it back. I was watching a video some years ago to where a gentleman who was in, I forget what war he was in, but and I don't remember exactly what the medal was. I don't remember if it was some special medal, and the community gave it to him, and the man just he said, "Thank you, but I cannot accept this because," well, they were calling him a hero. And he says, "No, I am not the heroes. The heroes are those who never made it back." And that is what today, or not today, but this next Monday, this is Saturday the 24th? Yeah, something like that. Anyway, that's what Memorial Day is all about, is for the people who never made it back. And that's what, so we get that. Of course, Veterans Day is for veterans. And Armistice Day, I think it's Armistice Day, is for the people who are still actively serving. Or it's one of those, I forget if it's Armistice Day, but you get the idea. Anyway, so I just wanted to say, today, this weekend, when you're enjoying your 3-day vacation, 3-day holiday, anyway, when you're enjoying your 3-day weekend, when you're having your barbecue, when you're in your car going to your vacation spot, when you're outside enjoying, well, here in Oregon, amazingly enough, it's a beautiful sunny day. But if you're out there on your porch, whatever, driving somewhere with your kids, with your family, remember those. Perhaps you are one of these people. Perhaps you are a Gold Star family, so to speak, who lost someone in battle. And remember, when you're out there today, think of the brave men and women who never made it back. Anyway, with that, today, I thought about that the Memorial Day thing was just to get it out of the way. I get it out of the way, but I had to make sure I mentioned it. I'm going to talk a little bit about the church, in at least the Christian church, I guess, which to me is just been splattered and twisted into a grotesque form. Anyway, some of the news things I'm looking at, I noticed this last week was, and I've been talking about this for like the last week or two, about the lawfare, about how Democrat-appointed judges are still combating Trump for, it's almost like somebody intrudes into your house and, and you're told, you're getting ready to kick them out of your house or shoot them for trying to steal or something or hurt your family. And then a cop comes in and says, you can't do that. Or you get the idea. Just to me, it's ridiculous for Trump, not ridiculous for Trump, but it's ridiculous that the idea that Trump makes executive orders to stop problems happening in our country, and then a judge. Now, I thought the president was the most powerful person in the world. Apparently, I was grotesquely mistaken, considering that a judge has more power than the president. And I know there's supposed to be checks and balances in our government. However, I never thought that a judge would have so much power to actually stop the most powerful man in the world. So it kind of makes, that's one thing I've noticed is that it's very fascinating how if you are a Democrat president, you have immense power. You get the idea. But if you're a Republican president, you're a figurehead at best. I mean, face it, everything that Trump has tried to do to make our country great again has been blocked, detoured, protested, or something. I mean, face the facts. If you don't want government spending cut, if you don't want, that would mean that there is grotesque corruption. I mean, to a massive scale, and they want to keep it. If you don't want people just waltzing into the country, just willy-nilly, then you must want. I mean, I've actually heard them say this. I've actually heard some Democrat leaders say this in little private little speeches they give. Their idea is to have women come in from like Mexico, whatever, give birth and create families. It's interesting how the Democrats want abortion if it's for black and white women, but if it's for Hispanic women, we got to save those. Why? Because, well, it's a program, I guess. I don't remember the name of it really, but it's pretty much to breed out Americans and to breed in everybody who supports them. You bring your family in, you bring your kids in, you bring everybody, you waltz right in, you waltz in without due process. But then when Trump says get out, then they scream, oh, due process. Is there a problem here? Of course there is. It's ridiculous. But you go in there, and their idea, the Democrats' idea, is to make this a one-party rule country. That's why when illegal immigrants pour in, and then we have to give them everything, and then they say, oh, remember at voting time, which you're not supposed to vote, but of course they do anyway. At voting time, they say, if you vote Democrat, we'll make sure you keep this and give you even more. And so that's what they're trying to fight. They're trying to fight against Trump, keeping them from gaining absolute power. And if they was to get absolute power, the world's gone. Because it would become a one-world government, and that's when the end of times comes. Anyway, oh man, yeah. So it's every time. It's one thing. Every time in the last day or two that Trump signs an executive order for whatever reason, because I guess today or recently, I think it was Thursday or Friday, he signed an executive order. Was Harvard, I think, to have them stop bringing in foreign students. And of course, they have freaked out. And then somebody, of course, I believe it was an Obama appointed judge, said, you can't do that, hold that, which is ridiculous. And so, yeah, the lawfare is still hot and heavy. And again, I don't know how they can make it so that judges have so much power. I mean, there's supposed to be three checks and balances. And, if you talk to a congressman or a senator, do you know who I am? I'm a so-and-so, and that's supposed to bring power. Or if you're the president, well, put it this way, if you're a Democrat in any of those branches of service, you have incredible amounts of power. But if you're a Republican, again, you're just a figurehead. You're there to look pretty. You're there to fit the quota of, you're a member of Congress, you're a member of the presidency, you're a member of the judges, so you fit the mold, so just shut up and do what you're told. Pretty much what that amounts to. Anyway, let's see. I've been seeing some interesting things on Twitter recently, Twitter, X, whatever, and a thing called black fatigue. And I find it interesting. Now, I've seen it before, and I'm starting to get tired of it, is when you see on Twitter these video pieces of black people doing outrageous things. And the crazy thing is they're doing it in broad daylight, because usually when somebody does something in a crime out in the open, broad daylight, they'll look around. Oh my, is anybody watching me? Is there cameras? And then they hurry up and do whatever their crime is and then do it and then leave. I mean, hurry up and leave. I'm seeing videos now. Again, this kind of makes me question reality, because I'm thinking to myself, is this really real? I mean, are the people just acting? Is this crime actually occurring? Or just somebody who said, hey, let's make a shock video on the internet and see how many hits we get. Is that it, or is this really happening? what's really happening is I'm seeing 99% black kids, people, creating crimes, and they're doing it like, so what, big deal. It's not a crime, it's reparations. Since our ancestors were enslaved by you evil white people, you know, then we deserve what's coming to us by, you know, and I guess I heard this, I think, from a Democrat lawmaker, I think, is that they said that because their ancestors were enslaved by, I guess, my ancestors, and that I'm Caucasian, that they have the right and the obligation, I guess, to rob from us or society because they haven't gotten their, what was it, $1,000 and 40 acres of land was the original deal or whatever they decided. Anyway, it's ridiculous, put it nicely. But I'm watching these people rob, steal, beat. I mean, I'm watching, and now what gets me is I'm watching there's been several videos of one white person in a sea of black people. And then they're just wailing, it doesn't matter what sex, male or female, and they're beating them almost to death, it looks like. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what's this person doing in a sea of black, you know, and I'm going to use a word that may or may not be, it is offensive, but I really don't care, hood rats. Because there are black people out there who are wonderful, godly people. Wonderful people. I know, I've met them. There are some people I know. I mean, there's really cool people, but there are also people out in the streets, hood rats, who cuss, who don't care, who feel that breaking the law is their right, I guess. But I'm watching some of these videos, and I am getting so tired of these hood rats. It doesn't matter if they're male or female. They're from the ghetto or they're wannabe ghetto. There's actually some members of our Senate and Congress who are hood rats. You know, their second language is cussing, and to them, robbing and stealing is like, well, yeah, that's what we're supposed to do, or something like that. But I'm getting tired of people, you know, watching videos. I guess I just shouldn't look at Twitter or X or whatever, or watch videos like this. But every time you go on there, you see black people do outrageous crimes. And they're like, yeah, so what? Big deal. Nothing's going to happen to me. And they're right. Nothing will happen to them. Because if the law tries to enforce if they try to enforce the law, then you get some sleazy liberal lawyer out there to go, hey, well, they've earned the right to do, or whatever. You get the idea. Anyway, something else I was going to comment on that's been outrageous. It blows my mind. It happened, was it Thursday, Friday, of the killing of the Jewish couple. Well, he's Jewish, she is not. Let's see, where's that at up here? I had it up here. And anyway, there's there's a man charged on 2 counts of first-degree murder after shooting outside a Jewish museum in D.C. Wednesday night. The shooting left 2 people, Sarah McGurran and Yaron Lakrowski, dead, or something like that. And as I was listening to Mark Levin the other day, and he was saying that the first bullet that the gunman used on Yaron killed him right away. So I don't know if the bullet went through his heart, went through his head. Either way, killed him right away. And he was the lucky one. Because from what I guess the report says is that the girl got hit, and it didn't kill her, but it dropped her, of course. And she tried to crawl away, and the murderer then, I guess, finished his magazine, loaded in her body, just boom, 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 boom. And then I guess he reloaded and did it again. And then when they did finally catch him, he walked away screaming something about Gaza or Palestine. Free Palestine is what he walked away saying, and that's that's amazing. It's amazing that they actually have the guts in broad daylight. And I guess just before he pulled the trigger, he said, "This is for Gaza," and he shot him. So what blew my mind about this, it blew my mind, is when this first came out on ABC News, I was listening to the radio, or streaming, whatever, and the news said about this murder that happened. And the very next thing they said is that investigators are still looking for a motive. They're still searching for a motive. It's like, motive, it's right there. When the guy says, this is for Gaza, and then after he kills them both, he says, free Palestine, that's it. It can't get any more clear than that. And to me, if a reporter does that, boom, you're fired. Don't ever expect to work again. Find a different source, find a different kind of work, because that's just ridiculous. And for a news source to actually, for an editor who works for a news organization to actually allow that to be published should also be fired. I mean, boom, like that, because that is ridiculous, putting it nicely. Anyway, so, after hearing this, again, the gentleman, I guess, they both worked for the Israeli embassy, and he was, they both worked for it, but was closer to it, and they're supposed to get married. I mean, I guess he just bought a ring, he was getting ready to propose, and this happened. And so, and the interesting thing is, as I understand it, Israel has been thinking about going in, because as I understand, as I heard this a few months ago, and I don't know how true it is, because I haven't really done the research into it, but I guess years and years ago, Israel, out of the goodness of their heart, because at one particular time, according to the Bible, God's plan for Israel was to occupy the entire Middle East. If you heard the Bible, read the Bible, whatever, that's what he says. Everything from the Mediterranean Sea to the Tigris River, everything from, I think, Turkey, modern-day Turkey, down to Egypt, the entire region of the Middle East was supposed to be for Israel. However, Israel screwed up many, 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 many times. If you read the Bible, you know. And so when they finally did get their land, they told Palestine, okay, we will give you, out of the goodness of our hearts, this little piece of land to live in. We're going to do this because we're being nice. Well, apparently, Palestine, again, when they say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, that means simply as this: from the river, Jordan River, to the sea, the Mediterranean Sea. That means they either want every Israel to move out of the area. I've actually heard some people do that, some protesters say, move back to Europe where you belong, which is ridiculous. Or they want total genocide, which is what Hitler wanted, of the Israeli people. And so Palestine wants the entire region where Israel is now to them. And that's just ridiculous. Besides, that's not what God wants. I know they don't believe in God. They believe in, I guess they're Muslim, which is interesting because Abraham is the father of both Muhammad and the Christian faith. So they have a common ancestry, So what I think, because I have caught this guy, what they should do is not kill him. And I don't think they should. I don't know what ancestry this guy is. The funny thing is about this is that I haven't heard or read a heck of a lot about this shooter. And this is the left. Here, this is the left. With the left, if it's anything like anybody that they have sympathy for, they will tell you very little about him at all. Very little. As a matter of fact, most cases, if there's a shooter, and if it is somebody that they like, somebody that they tend to, whether it's black, whether they're gay, transgender, liberal, you get the idea. If there's a shooting, they'll say, well, we're still looking for evidence to see who this person was. We're still investigating. You know right then and there. You know that's somebody that they have sympathy for. If it's somebody who's a Trump supporter or somebody white, straight, Christian, male, whatever like me, boom, right away. They'll just splurt it out on there, and they don't care if they get it wrong. Because if they do get it wrong, it doesn't hurt them at all. It might make them look a little bit foolish, but they can swallow that lump. But they do not want to disregard or insult one of their own, which is, anyway. So my heart goes out to the family of Sarah Milgram and Yarwin Lukowski. So anyway, let's see. I think there is more news out there, but some of the news that I heard out there isn't worth my time or my sympathy to report on it. Because some of the stuff I hear, it's like, You dare report that? That's junk. What kind of a news story is that? Because I've heard on both ABC and Fox, because I listen to both of them on the radio, on streaming and or the radio, and both of them, it's like, with Fox, I hear a story, and it's like, whose side are you on anyway? Fox is supposed to be right-leaning, which they're not anymore. They used to be, but they're not anymore. And of course, ABC, CBS, all the alphabet media, the legacy media, they all suck anyway. And I listen to ABC not only because I like the station that it goes on, the streaming station, but also because I use them to, not really to see what the enemy's doing, but also I just get little pieces of what, because again, most of what they say is hate on Trump, MAGA, and Republicans. I mean, it's like you never ever hear them say anything praiseworthy about any of those three groups, any of those people, either Trump, MAGA, or Republicans, and they are different. I mean, MAGA does follow Trump, but every now and again, just things happen, and I know that there are Republicans who don't like Trump, which is, anyway. So the one thing I was going to talk about today is the church and the new pope. Now, granted, it's this way. I am a Christian, I guess a Protestant evangelical Christian, and to me, the pope is a nobody. Whether or not you were insulted by this or not, it doesn't really matter, because the pope, it blows my mind that they do talk about Jesus in Catholic Church, I guess. They talk about him, but yet Jesus is the way. Jesus is the truth. Jesus is the life. It doesn't say the Pope is the way. The Pope is, no, it's the, way back when, it was the Roman Catholic Church that formed to create the Pope. Jesus never told us to follow the Roman Catholic Church. We were told to follow Jesus. So it's this way. The Pope is irrelevant. If they totally did away with the papal or the papacy, whatever that ranking, it wouldn't hurt my feelings at all, because I did see a track several years ago, many years ago, like 25, 30 years ago, that said that the Pope was the Antichrist. I can't really agree with that, but it's not that far from the truth, considering if you follow the Pope, you can't follow Jesus. You either have to follow the Pope or follow Jesus. You have to follow Jesus or something else. Jesus even said, you're either for me or you're against me. So if you're for the Pope, you can't be for Jesus. Pope is just a man. He's like me. I mean, the Pope is, let's see here. I had a list here of stuff. He was born in Chicago. He graduated from one of the schools. I forget which one. Actually, the year I graduated high school, that was kind of cool. He knows 5 languages. I'm sure Jesus knows a lot more than that. The interesting thing is they said he's the first American to be Pope. Actually, he spent most of his life in Peru, and he has dual citizenship. I mean, I think Americans claim him just because he was born in Chicago. He spent more time, as I understand, he spent more time in Peru than he ever did in America. So, but he's got dual citizenship, and I guess Peru, from what the article I read, says that Peru has actually offered him naturalized citizenship. I thought that only happened with people who were born there, but what do I know? But he sang in the choir as a boy. So it's the interesting thing about all this is that is his brother. And as I understand it, well, one thing I do like about it is so far the pieces that I've heard about him is that he is probably one of the more right-leaning popes. As I understand it, I think I read somewhere he was for traditional marriage. He was against, again, he's more of the, away from the progressive side. And he's not quite as liberal as the other ones were, which is fine with me. And as I understand it, he has a brother who is a bit on the right. I guess he may not be a fan of Trump, but I guess he leans more toward that. And one thing that gets me is I'm thinking, where'd they find this guy? Because I think they had like 5 or 6 different people picked out. And I guess most of them were progressive. One of them was a moderate, and one of them was right-leaning. And out of nowhere, because as I understand, this guy wasn't even on the radar. And I'm kind of makes me wonder, if this guy wasn't even on the radar, during the picking of the new pope, it's like, well, what made them choose him? I mean, nobody's ever heard of him before. It was Leo the 14th. That's what his pope name is. So, but it kind of makes you wonder if some higher power, and I don't mean God, I mean some elite rich person went there and actually whispered in somebody's ear, hey, if you vote for this guy, then we can make it worth your while, hint, hint. How about some new Bibles for your church? Or whatever, you get the idea. So I have nothing really against him. The only thing is, again, it's like the Catholic Church is pulling people away from actual Christianity, from Christ. I mean, if you go to any Christian, any Catholic church, you see the crucifix, you'll see Jesus hanging on the cross. However, that's inaccurate, because if you go to Israel and go to the hill where Jesus was crucified, well, for one thing, you're not going to see any cross. And I know you're not going to see him on the cross. You're not even going to see Jesus in a cave where he was buried, because he's not there. Jesus is in heaven. He sits on the right hand of the Father. So that's just how it is. Anyway, my friends, one thing I forgot to do was some quotes. I do those sometimes. I don't remember if I did the quotes last time. Anyway, here's some quotes from G. Michael Hoff. That's how you pronounce his last name. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create strong times, create hard times. So it's a vicious circle. From Denzel Washington, anything you practice you get good at, including BS. I'm not going to say what the acronym is, but you get the idea. Denzel Washington also said, if you don't read the papers, you're not informed. If you do read the papers, you are misinformed. Here's someone said, I don't know who, but I like it. 9 out of 10 scientists agree with whoever's paying them. You get the idea. And now here's one I like. I don't know if he actually said this, if it was Winston Churchill or somebody else. It's attributed to him, but I don't know if Winston Churchill actually said this. If you're under 25, you're not a liberal, you have no heart. If you're over 35, you're not a conservative, you have no brains, which I think is kind of interesting. So anyway, well, my friends, again, when you're out there this weekend, think, not just weekend, but every day. Think of the people who have fallen in battle in defense of our country. We have the greatest country in the world. And think about them. And, just enjoy the time, but remember how we got here as a country. We got here on the backs and the lives of those brave men and women who actually fought and died for us in combat in support of our country. So this has been, from my particular point of view, I'm Dale. And again, to contact me, inform me, question, whatever, any kind of contact at all, watercoolercomments@hotmail.com or watercoolercomments@gmail.com. So until next time, I'll give this blessing, and then I'll see you next time. A blessing. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. So until next time, have a great day and a great week, and take care. This is Dale. Have a great time. See you next time. Bye-bye.